my 21 female significant other's 22 male, love language is gift giving. He loves to shop for people. He loves to give gifts, especially extravagant ones. For example, over the 3 years we've been together, he's given me a car, 3 dogs, a new phone, and many more smaller items. I, on the other hand, struggle with gift giving, especially for him. He's the person if he wants it, he will buy it for himself. 2 different times I had purchased him a gift before the holiday rolled around. He had went and purchased the exact same thing for himself. So finding something he both likes and doesn't already have is a struggle. This year, I decided I would go above and beyond. I set aside a couple $1,000s, a lot for me, not so much for him, to make sure I can get him extravagant gifts. This year, he discussed with me he wanted to go to Puerto Rico. Immediately, I found a 4-bedroom house, more than enough room for his friends, him and I. I also booked a yacht for us to spend a day on. That ended up being more than I set aside for, but I booked a yacht anyway, since he always goes above and beyond for me. I don't wanted him to have a great birthday. Well, tonight I asked him if I should purchase his gifts here and travel with him, or if I should go shopping in Puerto Rico. He tells me I was not coming. Note, earlier this week he discussed us going to Puerto Rico. Also discussed how his friend would be traveling with us on this trip. So he immediately sensed my confusion. He quickly started backtracking and told me I would be coming, just at the end of the week, missing his birthday. My feelings were hurt at first. To think the person I wanted to spend my birthdays with doesn't want to spend theirs with me hit a little different. My feelings soon changed, as I realized this also meant I would miss out on a yacht I went over budget on. Immediately I went to cancel the yacht, trying to get some form of payment back since it had already been 24 hours since booking. The yacht was a surprise, so it was never mentioned. But after canceling it and only getting partial refund, I told him what I had planned. I also told him since I would have to wait 5 days after his birthday to even see him, his gifts would not be as extravagant and I would not have things like a cake decorations or anything set up for him. He told me I was the a-hole. The yacht was for him and not me, so regardless if I attended, I should have left the reservation in place. He also tells me his gifts should not change since he will see me after his birthday. I disagree. I can't imagine spending thousands of dollars on gifts for someone just to give it to them a week after their birthday. I also cannot imagine spending over $1,000 on a yacht that I would never see. Am I the a-hole for canceling my plans for a significant other's birthday after finding out I am not invited? Now for the comments. He's either trying to spend his birthday with another girl, or spending his birthday with his friends is more preferable to him than spending it with you and friends. Either way, this is red flag territory, and I'd reassess this relationship. That's honestly the vibes I got. I found a way better house in the Dominican Republic, way bigger and quite a bit cheaper. He wouldn't even look at the house there and insisted to go to Puerto Rico. I got the vibes he had someone in Puerto Rico he wanted to spend his birthday with, but I also thought that might be a tad crazy. No, trust your gut. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. I would use the time he was gone to move out, kick him to the curb and find someone who appreciates you. He does not come across as someone who is trustworthy. And cancel the whole thing immediately. Consider any lost deposit money well spent on the cost of learning who he really is and how little he values you. I'm sorry, you deserve so much better. Not today home. You purchased a trip for him, his friends, and yourself. He doesn't get to kick you out. Cancel the whole trip and cancel the relationship. Or go on the trip without him. Bring your friends, go on a yacht. I cannot imagine my significant other spending thousands of dollars on a vacation and not bring them along. It seems really suspicious to me. Maybe he has a side chick or was planning to get a birthday action out clubbing with the boys. Either way, it was selfish for him and you deserve better. I honestly got the second option vibes too. No reason I would hinder any plans he had going on. Seems like he just had things planned he didn't want me attending. Next story. Am I the a-hole for being a downer at my husband's grad celebration? My 30s female husband, 30s male, is graduating college. His class decided to go out to celebrate with drinks after their exams, but he said significant others weren't invited. He had a routine checkup with my primary just before the celebration started, and she found a lump on my breast. I'm young, but have a history of breast cancer on my mom's side. My aunt died before the age of 35 from it. She wanted me to get a biopsy that day and referred me to the correct place. It was going to be a few hours before they could see me, as they were doing her a favor and it was obviously short notice. I was a crying mess, so my husband reluctantly agreed for me to come wait for him at the bar for my appointment time. I got to the bar, introductions were made, And although I was quite scared, I felt I was nice to everyone and as talkative as I could be. I left my husband at the bar with his classmates and went for the biopsy, followed by mammogram. It was terrifying, but my doctor was great, and a nurse held my hand through it all. When I got home, my husband was pissed at me. Apparently, I offended his classmates because I was standoffish and rude to them, and in their words, just an overall downer that brought down the mood of the celebration. He said I embarrassed him, and he regretted having me join them. I now feel terrible, like I ruined his day to celebrate with his friends, and maybe should have just kept the situation to myself so as not to bring him and them down. Added key points. Yes, husband knew all details of cancer scare as soon as first appointment ended. I'm the only one working while he's in school. I do not pay for school. And just in case anyone other than the super kind person is wondering, I've taken him to a nice dinner after every milestone was passed, and as consolation if things haven't gone great. I worked a side job while he's in class to save up secret money, and bought him a private deep-sea fishing charter for his graduation gift. I'm not a bad wife. I do what I can within my limited means. Wait, let me get this straight. You discovered something possibly life-threatening and at least life-altering, and instead of your husband staying at your side and help you through this experience, he chooses to go to a celebration and let you wait with him in the bar before scare exams, and then had the audacity to be mad about your mood. Holy cow, girl. This calls for some serious conversation between you two. But honestly, I see red flags all over. Not stay hall big time, but your husband definitely is. Yeah, just to doubly point out here, OP, he should not have even gone to his graduation. He should have been by your side for the wait, the appointment, and the rest of the day/evening. You need to have a long think whether you want to be with a man who cares so little about you. Your husband was unsympathetic, unsupportive, and plain cruel. And his friends were damn out of line. There's no way I'd even listen to my friends criticizing my partner like that, let alone repeating the message to him. You were getting a biopsied mammogram, in itself a scary thing, but worse because you have a history of cancer. And not only did your husband not go with you, but he criticized you for acting down? I hope he changes his attitude. I'm betting the friends didn't say a word. I reckon this is all because hubby knows he was being a royal a-hole and is flipping it right back at Opie. Or worse, he mentioned where she was going, and they either directly or indirectly let him know he was totally in the wrong, and he's taking it out on her. I really doubt they said anything about her at all. Did your husband know that your doctor found a lump? What the ever-loving hell? He is mad at you for being a downer rather than supporting you? Whoa. That is messed up. I hope your tests come back with good news and your husband grows a heart. He did know, yes. I called as soon as the first appointment ended because I was kind of a mess. I panicked. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my brother and his wife that I will be suing them for selling the nursery I gave them? I, female 36, lost my 3-year-old son from a chronic condition that he was born with. I struggled a lot with his illness and received a lot of support from my family when my ex-husband was too busy with work than care for his son. When my brother and his wife found out they were expecting, they suffered from a miscarriage after a miscarriage, and because of their financial situation, I decided to lend them my son's nursery to use for their baby, under the condition they give it back when they no longer need it. It's an expensive nursery, and the process of shipping, I live in another country, took me time and money, and of course not to mention its sentimental value. They were so grateful for my help, and appreciated it a lot, but my sister-in-law unfortunately lost her baby at 5 months into pregnancy, and I heard from my mother since my brother and sister-in-law went low contact with everyone to be able to grieve. I waited a few months before asking for the nursery back since they no longer need it. I called and asked my brother to send it back despite how cruel I sounded, but I just had to get it back. But I was shocked after my brother said they sold it. All of it. Every single piece. I asked why, and he said his wife was depressed and he needed money to take her on a vacation a month ago. I lost my temper and started screaming at him on the phone, reminding him that this belonged to my son, and only for them to borrow, not sell. He apologized and asked me to be understanding of his wife's position as a grieving mother myself. I said no. They should have considered how selling my son's nursery would affect me as a grieving mother. And he replied that he didn't think I was being fair to scream at him for wanting to help his wife through these hard times. I told him that is not my problem, and that I will be suing them both over the nursery and for every penny made out of selling it. He called me nuts and hung up, then called my parents. They tried to get involved after I threatened to sue and called me callous and unhinged for threatening my brother and sister-in-law with court and told me to let it go. That I don't need the nursery, It is not worth causing permanent damage in my relationship with my brother over a few pieces of furniture. My ex-husband blamed me, saying it was my fault for giving the nursery to my brother, but I just wanted to help. He keeps pushing for the idea to sue, but my parents are telling me not to. Am I the a-hole for wanting to sue them for the nursery that cost us nearly over $4,000? Just to explain something, my ex-husband gets a say because he paid for the nursery as well, but he keeps pushing for me to sue and told me he'll do it if I choose to back down. He keeps saying it's my fault for letting my brother have the nursery in the first place and is very upset with me about it. It was so unbelievably cruel and selfish for them to sell mementos of your son for a vacation. You lending them the nursery for free represents how highly you regarded them and how you very kindly hoped that they would honor your son's memory by bringing up their own child with this nursery. And they in turn said, your love of your deceased son means nothing to us. It is only worth as much as we can get breaking the set down and selling it. Sue their pants off. Go with your parents' pressure and pretend to be ready to move on if they apologize for selling items they were supposed to return to you, out of emotional desperation if you have to. Anything to get them to admit in writing/text that it was a loan, not a gift. Then absolutely rinse them in court. This. Sue them for every penny, and then the legal fees. For a vacation? I cannot even believe this. We all have awful, traumatic events. What we don't all do is sell sentimental items that weren't ours that we promised to return because we needed a vacation. I'm so angry and disgusted with them both on your behalf. Added to add, I'm trying to imagine the effing discussion that took place at the level of pure audacity, selfishness, and dismissiveness, and after Opie did these guys a huge favor too. Sweetie, I need to get away. I'm so depressed. But we have no money. Oh, but we have her nursery. But didn't Opie ask us to return it? And it's quite expensive. She probably forgot about it. Also, I need this. She might be mad, but I'm sure she'll let it go. Let's sell it. Go on vacation and worry about it later. Consequences happen. Cue shocked Pikachu faces. I need to get off this thread. My blood is boiling. The words I'd like to use to describe those two are words that would get me banned. Get a lawyer and get the ball rolling. Now. This needs consequences. It was not theirs to sell. It's yours. I understand her grieving, but that was probably a reminder of your son you wanted to hold on to. I'm sorry you had to go through all this, but you should definitely sue. They clearly don't respect you. Exactly how I explained it to my parents, but they suggested I stop bringing it up now, and that they'll pay me money every month till I get the full cost. But I feel like by doing this, they're enabling my brother's behavior and making excuses for him. They are enabling him. He was completely out of place, and the money won't replace the memories they took from you anyway. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole after no longer allowing my mother-in-law's friend to babysit my children after she started calling them her babies? I'm 26 female, I'm the mother of 2 kids, 4 female and 3 male. My husband, 27 male, and I both work office jobs, and due to this, we need someone to watch the kids while we aren't home. We mostly had babysitters, but a few months back, my mother-in-law, 48 female, suggested that her friend could watch them for free. I told her it wasn't necessary since we could afford a babysitter just fine, but she insisted. I didn't really see any harm in it after she kept asking, so I gave in and her friend, 45 female, started babysitting our kids. Everything was perfect for the first few months. She was always on time and always fed my kids and put them to bed at the time I suggested. My kids seemed to really like her, but about a few weeks ago my oldest came to me and asked me if I was their real mommy. I was confused and asked her what she meant. Well, it turns out mother-in-law's friend had been telling my kids that they were her babies, and when they protested saying they weren't, she would yell at them saying that I was just their moneymaker and that she was their real mommy. I told my husband about this and he hired a babysitter on the spot. Then me and him called my mother-in-law and told her about the situation. We told her that we weren't going to have her friend over anymore because it made us uncomfortable. We even told her what my kid had told me. Well, mother-in-law didn't take it well. Over the phone she started screaming, saying that, quote-unquote, "My friend doesn't have any kids or grandchildren, so your kids are the closest thing she's had to it, and you're going to take that away from her?" My husband and I tried to calm her down, but after a bit, we just hung up. I received a photo of my mother-in-law's friend crying on mother-in-law's couch later that night. I feel horrible for making her upset, but I don't like how she was telling my kids these things. I understand that she doesn't have kids, but that doesn't excuse her behavior. But for my peace of mind, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If anything, you underreacted. Would your mother-in-law ever help her friends see them? To the point of taking the kids behind your back. And take them to a few sessions with a therapist. They were clearly confused, and the damage this unhinged woman did can run deeper than you know right now. Kids internalize that kind of stuff. Not stay home. She claimed ownership of your kids and decided to hide it from you for a long period of time. During this time, she viciously yelled at your kids for denying this claim and defending you. That's not a woman whom you want around your kids. She doesn't sound mentally stable, and it makes the kids doubt their identity and be dubious of your motherhood and your relation to them, which is vastly detrimental to them and has the potential to cause further problems. It's sad that she doesn't have any kids of her own, but it seems like she has gone too far, and she isn't able to take care of them while thinking of them as hers and ingraining this mindset in them. She proved incapability to do that. It's not your fault. You gave her the chance to prove herself, and unfortunately she failed. You're not the ones to blame here. Mother-in-law's anger was directed at you unjustifiably, but in these situations, the victims try to blame others. Moreover, I don't know if it's just me, but I found the whole sent you a picture of her sobbing thing weird. Who takes a picture of his friend whilst she's crying and sends it to someone else to guilt trip him, implying that he has caused it? It seems unhinged and unnatural. I don't know if the friend consented to this or not. If she did, she was an accomplice in an attempt to guilt trip them into making them feel guilty and rehire her. Whereas if it was done unbeknownst to her, it crosses the line. She was vulnerable, and mother-in-law took advantage of that to prove her point.